Hey, what is happening, guys? How are you doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and today we have yet another Nintendo Direct rumor to talk about. I know, shocking. So that's right, man. We are in the season of Nintendo Direct rumors, which, if you think about it, even when there's not like a global health crisis happening, I feel like it's almost always the season of Nintendo Direct rumors because that's just what the cycle is. We get a Nintendo Direct, some people like the Direct, some people don't like the Direct, the games come out from the Direct, and as soon as that's done, people are immediately wondering when the next Direct is going to be. And to be fair, I'm not going to pretend to be innocent here. I mean, I obviously fall into the trap and the hype of new Nintendo Directs, and even when I've seen good Directs in the past, I certainly sometimes start to think to myself, well, that was good, that was neat, but, you know, when's the next one? Now, about a week ago, I of course did discuss the most recent discussion and rumor and story that was getting out about a potential new Nintendo Direct. Of course, the first Nintendo Direct in over 300 days, as we've all heard so many times. The first Nintendo Direct in creeping up on 1 year, as insane as it is to think about. And at that time, the story was about some potential July Nintendo Direct that was going to be happening. You know, we're right now literally halfway through the month of July. It's July 15th today, the day that I'm recording this. The day before my birthday, by the way. And, you know, the same sort of information and individuals behind the original July Nintendo Direct rumors have kind of further doubled down and given us some more information to go on. A lot of folks see this individual as credible, and I do understand why, because I kind of missed that part in my last video. And so, of course, as I joked about before, I'm a Nintendo YouTuber, so clearly I'm under some kind of contract and obligation to have to talk about Direct rumors. So Kelios on Twitter is the individual who kind of broke the original story and kind of got this conversation going. As I discussed in my July Nintendo Direct rumors video about a week ago, like I said, as far as we knew, and as far as I knew at that time, his tweet in response to Jeff Grubb from VentureBeat on Twitter, stating, "Don't forget about the July Nintendo Direct" kind of situation, that was really the thing that kind of kickstarted this whole situation. And what I didn't know at that time when I made that video, for some reason I didn't find this out in my research about that story at that time, which is, I admit, kind of frustrating, is that apparently Kelios is this person who predicted, I think, the exact date of the March Nintendo Direct Mini this year, and I believe he also predicted the Animal Crossing Direct, although to be fair, we all kind of saw that coming. Maybe he predicted the exact date on that as well. I'm not seeing that anywhere, but if you guys were familiar with that, you can let us know in the comments. At the end of the day, the point is that that rumor got traction, that tweet of his got traction, because people are like, hey, this guy predicted the exact date of the Nintendo Direct Mini, and now here he is talking about a July Nintendo Direct. Clearly, he seems to know what he's talking about. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that he knows what he's talking about and he knows all of the inside information. I do not know this person. I have not interacted or spoken with this person. I have no knowledge outside of just, you know, the last couple of weeks here as he's been tweeting about July Nintendo Directs. That's as far as I know. So I can only really comment on what's getting out there publicly right now about this. But after that response to VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb about a July Direct, he now has since, on the Reset Era forums, been posting and doubling down and confirming a Nintendo Direct for July 20th. And if that sounds weird to you, that's because July 20th is a Monday. Of course, that's strange because Nintendo Directs really don't happen on Mondays. I think usually Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays have traditionally been the time that we see Nintendo Directs. You can see here what he says on the Reset Era forums. He talks about Nintendo potentially announcing it on Friday, which would be, you know, the 17th, the day after tomorrow, the same day that Nintendo releases Paper Mario the Origami King, that they would let everyone know on Friday that the following Monday there is going to be a full Nintendo Direct. He's claiming it's not a mini, he's claiming it's a full Direct. And so this is all very exciting, but it does seem weird because, again, Monday? Monday for a Direct? I mean, Nintendo can do whatever they want for sure, but it seems strange. So I think that there's probably three things going on here when we look at the potential for a Monday, July 20th Direct, which is, again, like 5 days from now at this point. And the first thing is that, you know, none of this is true, okay? So there is no Nintendo Direct, there's no July Direct, or maybe there's just no July Direct next week on Monday. But let's not focus on that, okay? We're going to discuss this, and just for the sake of discussion, we're going to just pretend like this is kind of true, okay? That there is a Direct coming, and maybe it's next week on Monday. The other thing that could be happening is maybe Nintendo is really just deciding to have a Monday Direct for the first time ever. Maybe they're just like, forget the tradition. It's a weird year. The pandemic is changing things. Maybe we can just have Directs whenever we want. They don't have to be Thursdays or have to be Wednesdays, right? We can do them on a Monday, so let's just do it on a Monday. Maybe that's just what fits into their game plan. We can't forget that next week, if they wanted to have it next week, Thursday, July 23rd is Microsoft's big Xbox Series X game reveal event, and who knows if we're going to get, release dates and prices and, confirmation on launch games. So that could potentially be a massive, massive day for Microsoft and the Xbox. In fact, I hope it is. I want this stuff to come from Microsoft. I'm excited for the Series X and the next generation. And so if Nintendo wanted to have one next week, they're probably thinking to themselves, well, we can't do it on Thursday because that's Microsoft's day, and it's going to be bad for both companies if we're all out there trying to steal news and attention from each other, so let's do it on a different day and let's do it on Monday. That, of course, leaves the third option, which I'll admit I'm surprised no one has really been talking about, at least as far as I've seen, which is that maybe the wires are crossed with the information that he knows, he or she, I should say, but I think he's a he. And I think that maybe it's a situation where Nintendo is planning on announcing the Nintendo Direct this coming Monday for it to happen on maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, again, instead of Thursday, to go up against Microsoft. And maybe what people who are in the know are hearing, through their sources, as the game of telephone would normally create this situation, where it's like, oh, Nintendo Direct announcement Monday, July 20th, Nintendo Direct doing thing Monday, July 20th, and so really it's Nintendo is announcing the Direct on Monday, July 20th, and by the time it makes it to people who have inside information, the message has been kind of twisted into just being, oh, the Direct itself is happening on Monday, July 20th. If that makes sense to you guys, I feel like it's got to be one of these things. Either the Direct is just not happening and the whole thing is made up, a lie, or just misinformation. Or maybe Nintendo Direct is going to be holding a Direct, or Nintendo Direct, listen to me. Maybe Nintendo is going to be holding the Direct on Monday, July 20th, or maybe they just plan on announcing it this coming Monday, and that some of the leakers and people in the know have confused the information. Here's the thing. Do I believe this? Do I think that this is real right now? It's tough to say. My personal opinion, like I said, I do not know this person. I've never heard of them before the last couple of weeks. I don't know anything else about them, other than they got the March Direct correct. The mini Direct, I should say. So yeah, of course, it's hard to say if this is real or not. My gut feeling tells me that there's a good chance. I mean, as I discussed in my video about the original July Direct rumors, it does make sense to me. And the biggest reason I hung my hat on, I discussed all the reasons it didn't make sense. I discussed several of the reasons I believed it did. And the main thing I came down to was the fact that it's honestly just time for a Nintendo Direct. Again, trying not to be the entitled gamer person that's just demanding everything no matter what the circumstances. I'm not that person. I understand it's a weird year, and I've been okay giving Nintendo that time this whole year. But at the end of the day, at some point you do just start to realize, from a business sense, from a marketing and PR sense, it's halfway through July, we're halfway through the year, and other companies are getting things done and having presentations and giving us trailers and announcing games and releasing games and selling these games at record numbers. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, The Last of Us Part 2. Sales are not really slowing down. And so it's like, yeah, maybe Nintendo, you needed the first 6 months of the year and that's fine. But maybe now in mid-July, it is just time to finally address us and give us a real Direct. And so that's one of the main reasons why when I look at the story, I consider the details, I consider Kelios and his, short but successful track record, I think to myself, hey, maybe there's something to it. Maybe a Nintendo Direct makes sense next week. I guess it is still a little bit hard for me to believe the Monday thing. Not because Nintendo isn't capable of having a Direct on Monday. Of course they are. They could have a Direct at Sunday at 3 a.m. in the morning in North America if they wanted. Like, they could just press the play button on the Nintendo Direct whenever they want. And so, of course, I understand that part. But is it something I just believe that they would do? Okay, that's the thing I'm talking about here. And I do still kind of question that part of it. I'm not going to say it's impossible because I don't know. I don't have the inside information. I haven't heard any rumors or leaks myself on this. So I am just as not in the know as a lot of you guys. And so, you know, anything could happen. I just can only tell you that my gut tells me it's weird to think of Nintendo doing it on Monday, which is part of the reason my gut also said, hey, maybe they're just announcing it on Monday. That seems normal. They've done that before, and that would add up on the timeline if they announce Monday that there's a Direct for Wednesday. And then we get the Wednesday Direct, and it manages to get out a day before Microsoft's event, and then everything would be hunky-dory. Again, in a year where games like Last of Us and Final Fantasy are breaking sales record, and a year where, despite the pandemic, Sony and Microsoft are able to, as far as they're telling us, launch next-generation machines and hardware. In fact, the current news going around the internet right now is that Sony is actually doubling their expected PlayStation 5 units to ship in 2020. They're going from like 5 million to 9 or 10 million. And so that in and of itself shows that, hey, this worldwide health situation, this pandemic, isn't really killing the gaming industry or stopping it dead in its tracks. I mean, we know that Naughty Dog was so worried about releasing The Last of Us in, was it May 20? Or no, they released in May 29th. When was that? When was the last date? February or March? I can't remember now. The second delay that they gave that game, they delayed it again because it just seemed like they didn't want to release it in a situation where they weren't sure how to get the game to people physically because of the pandemic. And then, of course, the leaks forced them to release the game sooner, so they released it in June, I think. It did go from May to June or what. I already can't remember the date. Can you believe that, guys? 2020, man. Anyway, they ended up releasing it way earlier. June 19th was the release date. And again, fastest selling PlayStation game in history, okay? Breaking those records. So there's just no reasons to believe that a company, even like Nintendo, even like the work from home happening in Japan, can't make games, release games, or even make Nintendo Directs. And again, I'm okay if they don't do this, okay? I am not the person crying myself to sleep over the fact that I'm not getting everything I want from Nintendo spoon-fed to me on a silver platter, okay? I'm an adult, I can handle it, I can deal with the details, but I can also look at it from the gamer fan within me, and I can look at the big picture stuff of what's happening in 2020, and it's like, Nintendo, if you don't want to do stuff, just tell us you don't want to do it and wait till next year. But if you're not going to do that, and you're going to have investors meetings where you tell people, our 2020 schedule is still on track, even though we haven't told you anything about that schedule, then it's like, well, I feel like it's okay and acceptable to say, maybe it's time to do this stuff. Maybe it's time to realize you can get out there, make your products, release your products, you know, show us Nintendo Directs, and just operate a little bit more normally because other companies are making it happen. So Nintendo, you're not on your own island in your own industry. Like, you're part of the same industry as Naughty Dog and Sony and Microsoft and Square and Capcom and all these other companies. So I feel like it's probably a good time to do it. Anyway, this kind of devolved a little bit into a tangent about all of that stuff and, you know, Nintendo doing this or not doing that in 2020. Which has just been, you know, the theme of this year as far as Nintendo and gaming news, and definitely as far as Rule of Two review, right? I've had to talk about it consistently, and it's probably not going away anytime soon, at least in North America as far as we can tell. I'll probably have to continue to talk about it this way. And it seems like Nintendo maybe is continuing to be weird around the pandemic situation. And as long as Nintendo also is being weird and being slow and being cryptic with its messaging, not showing directs and new games trailers and stuff, like, I'll also have to keep talking about it. Like, because I cover and talk about Nintendo news and stuff, like, the more Nintendo makes this the news about how weird things are, the more I will continue to talk about it, because that's what Nintendo's kind of showing us and allowing us to talk about to a degree, you know? So that's what's up. That's what's going on. An interesting rumor. Are we going to get a Direct next week on Monday? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I think we might get some Direct news next week. I guess, to be fair, again, the rumor per this person says that on Friday, in 2 days, they would actually announce the Nintendo Direct. So let's see if that's what actually happens, you know? So these are my thoughts and opinions. It's a weird time, and tell me what you guys think. Do you expect this to happen, or do you think Nintendo is still playing the waiting game? Tell me what you think, and with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.